everybody. Welcome back to the Epoch Creative Podcast. This is episode 8, where we're going to be talking about video production sales and specifically learning how to say no, because not every job is going to be a good idea. Let's be honest. I'm Forrest Proctor. This is my good friend Troy Widger, my co host. Sorry
Hello.
we didn't have an episode last week, guys. I've been incredibly swamped. Troy's had a bunch of stuff going on. A lot of it has to do with what we're going to be talking about. So maybe it was for the best that we went through these things and now we can talk about them. But Troy, where do you want to start? I mean, we've talked a lot off air just about different BS projects and things that's like, should I do it because it's a little extra money
Mhm.
and it might lead to something, or should I not do it because it's going to ruin my life?
Sure. I guess we could just get right into talking about, pricing, what makes a job beneficial for you and the client as well. Because, like we said, we don't want to do a job if it's not going to generate, more revenue for the client. And on the other hand, we don't want to do the job if it's not going to be beneficial to us. I mean, a $450 job could turn into 45 hours of editing, and then you're making $10 an hour to edit. Never mind the time you went to take to shoot that job.
Yeah, no,
So,
that's a good point. And it's like a tightrope. Once you learn where the rope's at, it's easy to walk it. It's just figuring that out. Like a $450 job could generate $45,000 for the client,
mhm,
depending on who the client is. And if you're pricing yourself at $450 for a lawyer who's going to be using the video as an ad, and he's generating, 12 clients that year just from that ad, you've you've put yourself in a position where you're only charging $450. This guy's making 45,000, which is great. That's what you want. But
mhm,
if you position yourself where, like you said, you're doing 50 hours of editing and all that jazz, it's not a good deal. And you'll find those clients too that have money to spend. And we'll
mhm,
just use the lawyer example, right? But maybe they're old school or they're just downright cheap, you know? Um, it might be a project that you want to do because you can show other clients similar to that. But
mhm,
if you can't get the money to justify it, then I would say not do it. And something, my dad had a business when I was growing up
mhm,
my entire life, and I watched him go from the highs to the lows. And I think on a subconscious level, I learned some things from him. But
mhm,
one of the things that he taught me, and it wasn't like he sat down and said, "Hey, I'm teaching you something he just taught me in passing." He just would say it sometimes. Because I had like little bitty businesses growing up. Some of them weren't legal. They were like selling candy bars out of my backpack at school.
right.
But he would always tell me that the client has to pay for everything.
Mhm,
And that includes your gas. That
mhm,
includes the previous 10 years of trial and error or education. And I think about it like that. I had a client recently say something along the lines of, "Well, we didn't realize it was going to be so expensive. We feel like it should be less."
mhm,
And I stood my ground and I said, if you call around, you're gonna find that this is probably the highest price quote you're gonna get. But I said, you're not just buying my time or my equipment, you're buying 10 years of experience. So it's hard to wrap your mind around that because you also want to be fair, but you got to be fair to yourself.
mhm, mhm. Yeah, you cannot sell yourself short. I feel when you run your own business, you got to stand on your pricing. You have to stand on your pricing. Now, there's wiggle room, certain scenarios to give discounts. And like you said, times in the month where maybe you haven't hit your goal, and the revenue you've generated. So maybe there is a $450 job and there's some time at the end of the month. And you say, you know what, that'll put me over what my goal for the month. And I have the time. So let's go out and do this job. But on the other hand, the downside to that could be you go ahead and take that $450 job and somebody calls you, for a 4,000 wedding that weekend. And you just booked a $450 job and committed to that. Now you can't do the $4,000 wedding that weekend.
Yeah, I'd say in that scenario, you have a hard choice to make. And then it just depends on what the actual scenario is. But I
Mhm.
mean, if you have a $4,000 job come up and you've already got a $400 thing booked, you're probably going to want to cancel
Getting their money
and
back.
well, if they've already paid, I would just cancel and reschedule unless it was like this is a one-time deal. Yeah, give them their money back.
Yeah. Or
And
just or like we said, reschedule, and maybe in that instance give them a little bit of a
yeah,
discount
I
for
mean, it might be something
rescheduling.
as simple as like, hey, I need you to take drone photos of a house.
Yeah, that
A
can wait a
realtor.
day.
Yeah, that can
Yeah.
wait. It's
Mhm.
like, hey, I got this thing that you can even be just transparent as heck. Just tell the realtor, hey, this thing just popped up. I charge $4,000 for this. Yeah, I
Mhm.
got one right there, dude. Don't worry. Bring them in. It's summertime, man. We got kids running around in here. That's why we have to do these things early. But no, you could be like, hey, man, I got this $4,000 wedding just popped up. I'm
Mhm.
not like, don't even ask. Just be like, I'm not gonna be able to come do that today because I gotta go get this done. How's
Right.
Tuesday? And normally, if you're getting the clients that you want to work with, which takes many years,
Mhm.
um, it'll work out and they'll be totally understanding.
Mhm.
But I want to ask you, Troy, because you've had a recent situation where, dude, that was so funny that your kid was like popping up like this. I love it. Um,
She's like in the dark. She's back in the darkness.
I love it. It's
She's in the
hilarious.
dark place.
Dude, she looks so much like you, even in the dark.
Yeah, that's
Um,
the twin right there.
that's it. That's the twin. No, but you just had a recent situation. Talk about the client that came to you,
Mhm.
maybe a little bit about how they heard about you, and then what they were asking, and just go into that story, if you will.
Are you talking about the band?
I'm talking about the band, yeah.
Yeah,
Bands too. That could be a whole podcast doing musician videos.
yeah. Because I was gonna say, like, in that case, like, if say that's the $450 job, right? You can't really reschedule that because it's a performance, like it's a live performance event that you have to shoot, not a music video. So that would be interesting in that case. But anyhow, so hey, go in the other room, please. So people came to family member of mine asking about, getting me to come and do some photo and video, which, was pretty loose and vague, you know what I mean? So I said, all right, let me call them, figure it out. So I called them, and they want photos and video both for the website, for, Facebook, social media, and for showing to, potential venues that they're trying to get booked at. So we decided maybe doing like a 2 to 3 minute, highlight video, 30 seconds of like four different songs, performance like that. And, you know, so we did that. I said, okay, I'll get you the quote and then we'll figure it out from there. And gave him a discount because it was coming from a family member. Um, but at the same time, this is kind of a job that I don't want to do. I'm not really into the nightlife scene anymore. I mean, I'm not really trying to be the local cover band photographer, videographer. I mean, let's talk about, I priced it to where we try to price these to where we're getting like a day's ticket, right? What one of these businesses would make a day or off of one client. So
Mhm.
if they're bringing in, 400, $450 a gig between four band members, then there's no reason that they shouldn't be able to come up with $110 a piece to pay somebody to come in and do 100 photos and do video, you know. But then you hear about like the lead singer of the band not wanting to even pay their portion for microphones and monitoring. So you already know where this job's going. Nowhere.
Yeah, and
Not
bands,
in my eyes, it's not. You know what
yeah,
I mean? Not
and
in my
I think
eyes.
the key thing was, this is a job I don't wanna do.
Hmm.
There are situations, obviously, man, if you're trying to make this business of yours work, and I'm not talking about you specifically, I'm talking to our audience, but if you're trying to make this business work and it's like, man, I really don't want to go do these aerial photos, but this guy's willing to give me $1,500 and I got two kids to feed and a wife who needs X, Y, Z.
That's a different story. Yeah,
Yeah, it's a
I'll jump
different
on that.
story, but
I'll jump on those.
But when we talk in our other podcasts and in some of my videos where it's like, what's the ROI for the client, like, and that's why we always talk about going after companies and clients that are going to have a good ROI on your videos.
Mhm.
Local bands just I mean, I was in a bunch of them for 10 years straight, so I can talk to this probably better than a lot of people.
Mhm.
The ROI is just not there, and that's why my bands back in the day, that's actually what
Did it
got me
ourselves.
that's what got me into
DIY.
video actually was we needed some video, and I said, "Okay, well, I'll figure out how to do it, and I'll set up the tripods." And I had, for live anyway, I figured out a way to film our shows, or I shot our music videos and da da da. Um,
Mhm.
but the hard part, I think, in this scenario for you is the fact that a family member brought them, and you are trying to get your wheels turning again and,
Mhm.
back in Illinois where you've moved back to, previously being
Mhm.
in California. So you don't want to start off by being the no man, like, no, he
Right.
doesn't want to do anything because that's not
Right.
it. It's not that you don't want to do work. It's just you're
Yeah.
really having to walk that tightrope of making sure it's worth it for you, it's fair for the client, and they're going to actually benefit. Because let's be honest, bands, and that's the other thing too, bands don't really have business strategies, if you know what I mean.
Right.
The business strategy is to play awesome music and drink some beer, talk to
Mhm.
some girls. I mean,
Mhm.
I get it. So,
Mhm.
but every now and
Yeah.
again, you will get some that do have a good strategy.
Yeah, I mean, and it goes back to not saying no, but standing on your price. So by standing on your price is a way of saying no without saying no.
I like that.
Because if they don't want to agree to your price, then it's definitely not worth your time. Um, and there you go.
Well,
And then they
that
said no. So you give
yeah,
them the opportunity to say no.
that's 100%. Dude, I'd never even considered that angle of it, and I
Mhm,
will take that forever. Like, let
mhm.
the client say no.
Yep, yep. Yeah, but with your price, let them say no to your price, and then by you standing on your price, because like you said, we're selling art at this point, right? They're buying your vision. They're not just buying the guy to come and be the the guy that stands in the corner and films the whole event. They're paying
Yeah.
you for your vision, for your artistic expression. So when somebody goes to buy a painting, I mean, it probably happens at times, but you don't go and sit there and haggle with the artist over the price of the painting. Usually you're going to give that artist what they set their price at for that.
Or you're just not gonna buy it. You're gonna say no,
Exactly.
as the consumer. Um,
Yep.
and I think that's a
So
huge
go
benefit
ahead.
of our industry,
Mhm.
is let's say and I always use this example, and this is not a derogatory thing, because these people are very important and they actually make a boatload of money. Plumbers and
Mhm.
HVAC guys, right?
Mhm.
You'd be surprised, man. HVAC guys are rolling in the dough, especially during the hot summer, when they're fixing air conditioners and stuff. But they all do have to kind of have to do stay in a price range of each other, because there's like 12 HVAC guys in your town that work on air conditioners, or companies, and they do have to keep their prices competitive to one another.
Yep.
Video is not quite like that, because even if you do have other video production companies around, this guy might do just corporate stuff, and it's got a very video look to it. And then I would do, more cinematic looking stuff with faster lenses and mist filters, and it just looks a little more dreamy. And then you may do more edgy stuff like, dirt bike X Games looking video.
Mhm.
And it's apples and oranges at that point. Whereas like a lot of industries, it's apples and apples. It's
Mhm.
like, hey, I need my air conditioner fixed. How much you gonna charge me?
Right.
Like, "Oh, I
Right.
I fix the air conditioner like this. I put my arm like this." It's like,
This is the tool I use. This is the wrench I
yeah, it's
use.
like people don't care, man. Now, in our industry, people do care because the final product is gonna be different,
Mhm.
With
Mhm.
their industry, the final product is not different. It's a temperature change.
Right.
So, I think
Right.
that's a benefit because it gives you the license to, number 1, be yourself,
Mhm.
but number 2, sell yourself, leverage your uniqueness,
Mhm.
whenever you're selling your products. So
Mhm.
it's a blessing, man. I wouldn't have it any other way.
And if they were to come back to me and say, okay, well, no, this price is too expensive. Well, then maybe I could say, I'll tell you what, I'll come out and we'll split the cost in half. I'll come out and do just the photos for you, something I can turn and burn real quick. And I'll show you guys maybe just how to do some video with your iPhone. I'm sure somebody there probably has like a Pixel 6 or an iPhone 15 that would do great video. And like you said, maybe at that point, just a little consulting with photography. There's it doesn't have to be no. They can come back and say, well, the price is too expensive, and then maybe I can just say, well, sorry, that's my price, or you can work out a different package from there, right? Kind of finesse the package and come to where you're meeting their price, and but you're not doing as much work, so it's still worth your time and effort, and they're still getting value as well.
Yeah, and let's just say that you make them say no to your
Mhm,
price
mhm,
because, it's gotta be worth it for you.
mhm,
You don't know. There might be if they're serious, let's just take the band for instance, because I was
mhm,
in a cover band that was serious. Like we were
mhm,
building our way up to working all the hard rocks and the MGM casinos, and we did have to do professional video and audio production to give people an EPK and be like, hey, this is the songs we know, like 200, songs from Zeppelin to Journey to whatever.
mhm,
Um,
mhm,
Now today they might not be able to afford you, but in 2 years, when they're going to start trying to go to Vegas and do, some house band for the House of Blues or something,
mhm,
maybe they do have the money at that point, and you're setting a precedent in their mind for anybody else who needs video. You're setting, how do you say it, man? There's something in advertising. Anyways, you're basically setting the stage for they'll recommend you, but they'll tell people they'll be like, "Oh, this guy's good. He's a little pricey, but he's good."
mhm.
And you really do like
Or
go
go
ahead.
ahead. I was going to say, or on the other hand, you let these guys lowball you, and now you're known as, oh man, this to all the other local bands. Oh, this is a photographer. He does really cheap work, and then you're stuck in a rut. You got yourself backed in a corner of doing cheap work for an industry you really don't want to be in.
The word is perception. That's what I was looking for.
Hmm.
You've got to dictate the public's or the client's perception of you. And
Hmm.
sometimes people aren't going to like it. They're going to go behind your back and say, that guy's ripping people off.
Hmm.
But,
Hmm.
just make sure that's not true.
Right.
Make sure you are providing value. People are just going to say that sometimes, and it's
Hmm.
not going to be a lot, and you may never hear about it. But yeah, you've got to dictate the perception, and I do that currently in my hometown. That's why I think I like our relationship because you live in a similar
they're
size.
they're listening to the Troll soundtrack back that she's back here like singing it to you
That's what I'm
guys.
talking about, man. We need a separate podcast where our kids do karaoke. Because,
They right, the
mine,
performance.
mine goes nuts on some karaoke. I put it on the screen in the living room, and dude, they go to town.
Get
But
out of here. Go
no,
watch your movie.
it's all
All
good,
right,
man.
all right. It's getting derailed. Go watch your movie. So what were we? Oh, and then sorry. Let's just kind of get back to what were you talking about? Do you remember what subject you were on?
Yeah, I was just saying, basically creating a perception, like in my town, which
Hmm.
is probably just maybe the same size, maybe small. I'd like to see, is your town bigger than mine? Because that'd be
Well,
interesting.
it's interesting because the town I'm in is like 2,000 people, but the town that this band is out of is about 20 to 25,000 people, and then the performance is in a town of about, I don't know, at least 100,000 people. I don't know the exact number on
Gotcha.
that, but it's like smaller. I don't know. It's weird. I just think that at this, I would honestly feel to do like we've talked about in the past, with the food vendors, where, like you said, it's not worth it for us to come in and do a high end video for, the local street vendor food truck. They could just pick up their phone and do some themselves. But on the other hand, to come in and do some consultation for them, like you said, and what what equipment to get, how to shoot it, things like that. Uh,
Yeah,
because
you can
at the
definitely
end of
do
the day,
that.
you don't. Like, at the end of the day, you don't want to just be like, okay, no. You always want to. If they come back and they say, no, they don't like this price. Like I said, let's try to offer an alternative. Let's try to bring that price down, but also cut down some of the services we're providing. Do you really need me to make you, a $300 video without soundboard sound when you could have somebody just pick up their iPhone, film it, and then you take the best 30 seconds of it, 4 songs, chop that up, bam, that could be done in a matter of an hour. You know what I mean? It's not going to look great. It's not going to be the highest end thing, but it's going to be effective. You know?
Yeah, you're making me think of like an overall theme, and it's great because I'm learning. Like as we're talking, I'm like, oh, I should be doing this or that.
Mhm.
So this is almost like a class for me. But
Right.
that being said, always provide value.
Yep.
Like, yeah, and that could mean literally just a phone conversation. And I have those all the time where
Mhm.
I just level with somebody and I say, hey, listen, I could make you, a video and charge you $2,000.
Mhm.
But you could just take your iPhone and do some reels and get really, start posting a lot to Instagram and TikTok for your pizzeria. And you're probably actually going to have better success than if I was to come in and make you a brand message video.
Mhm.
And that honesty provides value. And so, even in their subconscious, even though they didn't buy anything from you, they're going to remember going forward that, oh,
You
yeah,
gave them that good advice.
yeah, that Forrest guy, dude, he they might even think they did buy something from you years later because of
Right.
the value that they got from you. So
Mhm.
that's a
Mhm.
good, and you brought that up, so I'm gonna give
Mhm.
you credit on that, but always provide value, whether you're getting paid for it or not.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe, yeah, like you said, just a recommendation can go a long way. A point in the right direction. Yeah, yeah.
And I've done consultations basically for free, if I felt like they were gonna be a good, contact or network
Mhm.
asset where like, a church actually recently asked me like, what would you buy if you wanted, how much would you charge to tell us what to buy for our church live stream? And I was like, bro, I won't charge you anything. I'm not going to do the deep dive in because these people are
Right.
connected with everybody around here.
I'll
So
give you a list.
I was like, and I did that. I got on my computer real quick and I even provided links. I was like, this is personally what I would get for church because it is the standard in churches, like big churches uses all black magic. They use the black magic cameras, the switchers, all that, and a program called Restream. I said, now y'all are going to have to go in and, you know, do all your deep research and run the cables, but this is where I would start. And I ain't charge anything for that, mainly because they just know, like everybody who owns a business that's worth their salt goes to that church, and
Mhm.
so I just want to put my name in the mix of like whenever they're like, "Hey, the new live stream looks good," and be like, "Yeah, that Forrest Proctor actually helped us kind of like set it up in a way. We built it out, but he gave us the recommendation, and it looks amazing." And like
Mhm.
my name's just getting tossed in there. You know what I mean? Like a salad mix.
Mhm.
That's the other
Mhm.
thing too I was gonna talk to you about is just, and maybe this is another podcast, but, you know, I had a friend call me. His name is Dakota. He's a great guy. He owns a print shop here in town, and him and his
Mhm.
wife are just getting started, and he called me and was like, "Hey, how do you, like, get your acquisitions? How do you get your clients?" And I was like, "Bro, you just have to make yourself known. Like, I can't buy T-shirts from you at this moment, or my cousin can't because he doesn't know about you.
Right.
Like, how are people supposed to come to your shop and buy stuff from you if they don't know who you are? You gotta go to all the networking events. You've just like, I make it a point to go to the coffee shop every day here in town,
Mhm.
not because I'm like the coffee that much. It's okay. I don't even like coffee, honestly. I'd rather drink a pre-workout, but
Right.
I just meet so many people there. The people who own the place know me, and if they see another business owner, they're like, "Hey, have you met Forrest? He
Mhm.
does video production." And this guy will be like, "Oh, I own blah 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 properties."
It's
Because
like a $5 a day networking event.
dude, dude, yes. And I'm not that guy who, and I sometimes will be if I'm busy and I need to get some work done there. But I'm not
Mhm.
the guy who like gets in the corner, puts on the headphones, and is
Right.
all emo like this.
Like
Like,
me.
no, I will do that, but normally I in a high business hour from 8 to
Uh-huh.
9, I'm
Right.
literally just sitting there talking John, the owner, drinking
Mhm.
coffee.
Nice.
I shoot a lot of video of them too, just I've never charged them. I just shoot a video while I'm there and throw it to them. They put it on
Nice.
their Facebook,
That's
but
what's up.
they've got a business that is exploding, but that's why I just, and it's not, I'm not trying to just leverage my friendship with them, but in a way, I'm not against doing that. Does that make sense? It's
Mhm. Mhm.
it's a byproduct of just being friendly and being friends with them, and I enjoy just hanging out at the coffee shop. And
Right.
every business owner in town is coming in there every day, and they don't have a drive-through either. You know, a
Nice.
coffee shop is successful when they're one of the most successful businesses in town without a drive-through.
Right. Yeah. That
Like,
says a
people
lot.
actually have to walk in, and
Yeah.
that's what helps me just meet people. But there's probably hundreds of other different little scenarios you can get yourself into like that.
Mhm.
I can't believe your town doesn't have a chamber of commerce. That
Yeah.
literally blows my mind.
Yeah. It's small, and like the biggest town over where I grew up has one, but like, man, the
Well, you're
roads
allowed.
there, the
You're
roads there are so bad. It's like it's like driving through Iraq, man.
Whoa, man! I gotta
Yeah, that's
come
how
up
bad
there, bro.
it
I gotta see this freaking battle zone you're living in, man.
is. Like I said, we're still 3 hours from Chicago, so it's not that bad. But I can take you to Peoria and give you a good idea of what Chicago's about.
Jeez, man, you got to get down here, bro. We got to get you to like South Florida
Right. I
or
know. That
even
was
Mobile,
visually where I was trying to go, a few years
even
back.
Mobile.
That was the area I was looking at. I was like, man, Dolphin Island's so close. That'd be a nice spot to go hang out all the time.
We're gonna go off topic for a second, but talking about the South, man, we were always the dark horse, right?
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
things are, I'll tell you, I got inside information, bro. Like, things here are about to be so good. It's unbelievable. We're incredibly red, first of all. And sorry for
Mhm.
all you, liberal people out there. We're very conservative, which
Mhm.
is a breeding ground for safety
Mhm.
and prosperity and things like that. But
Mhm.
Trulith Studios outside of Atlanta, they do all the Marvel movies and stuff. They're
Mhm.
owned by the CEO of Chick-fil-A. My
Okay.
uncle actually works for that guy and does a lot of stuff at Trulith. But so like Hollywood is bringing, they're building a new facility for sound stages and outdoor shooting areas, and that'll be done next year. But basically, they're building an infrastructure that's 4 times the size of Hollywood
Mhm.
and 8 times cheaper and more tax incentives. So you're about to see Hollywood come to Georgia,
Mhm.
basically. I mean, it's already the
It's
Hollywood of
already
the
been
South.
happening for a while. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
already the Hollywood of the South, we call it. Now, New Orleans tried that, but it's too dangerous and nasty. But
That's what happened there. Yeah, you've seen a few movies make it out of it that have been shot
Well, a
down
lot
there.
of TV shows like NCIS and Vampire
Yeah.
Diaries did good there because, I mean, it's dark and creepy, and those
Mhm.
stories are,
Mhm.
built around that scene. But another thing that is like very weirdly off topic but true is the USSF just moved their headquarters to Atlanta, and that's the United States Soccer Federation. And
Mhm.
basically, everything soccer in America is now going to be coming out of Atlanta. And so you're going to see just a massive cultural shift in sports
Yeah, Atlanta's going off.
and dude, and sports in the South is already I think it's like 70 or 60 to 70% of D1 athletes come from the South, even
Mhm.
people who go to California or go to
Mhm.
Illinois. And
Mhm.
look, what's the number one football league in college? The SEC.
Oh, yeah.
Alabama,
Oh,
Auburn, Ole Miss.
oh,
It's wild down here, bro. But and people shit on it, but you know what? That's fine because
yeah.
we'll just keep enjoying it.
I was gonna say, let him. Sounds pretty nice to me.
The price
We
of
could talk
living is zero.
I was gonna say we could talk about where I live, the other end of the spectrum if we want to, but I don't even think we need to go into any negativity
Well,
today.
no, I mean, I'm interested in it, and who knows, man? I know we got viewers in the Midwest, and we
Mhm.
got is that considered the Midwest?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, the heart of the Midwest, yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Yeah, and it's sad is because there's great people there, and the
Mhm.
scenery there is gorgeous,
Yep.
depending on what state you're in. And that's
Mhm.
how I felt about California when we were out there, man. It's
Mhm.
like these
Mhm.
people are giving this place a terrible name.
Mhm.
But go into it a little bit, man. Just talk about it because there's people out there who would like to hear it.
Well, it's just, just the roads are bad. You wonder where all the tax money goes if you don't see it being put back, into the infrastructure like you do in other states. Um, yeah, basically, it's just an infrastructure problem.
Yeah, I wonder what y'all's because we're always behind in the and going back to video, we're always behind in the marketing scene. Like
Mhm.
Mississippi would be the last place you think people are running video ads or using video production, but when we caught up, we really caught up. Like,
Yeah.
people got nuts about doing it. So I'm
Mhm.
just curious, like, in your area, are you seeing local businesses and stuff use video to their advantage or not at all?
A bit. I see some really well done YouTube ads coming out of like Iowa for like some farming businesses and stuff like that. And then of course you always got like your car dealerships, you know. Um, but yeah, I don't think it's really blown up yet. You know what I mean? Or even where you guys are. I still feel like to some people the thoughts of even a wedding videographer is like, huh, what? Like what? A
Yeah.
videographer, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
For a
down here,
wedding.
I'd say 2 years ago, it became standard.
Hmm. Hmm.
Like, if you didn't have a wedding videographer, they were already regretting it the day of.
Right.
Like
Right.
like now it's almost become standard, and there's been so many people pop up, and my wedding bookings have gone down, and I know it's because of the competition.
Hmm.
And there's people out there that are just doing that, and that's totally fine. I don't want to do a wedding every Saturday.
Right.
They can have it.
Right.
I do about 8 to 12 a year, and to me that is plenty.
Sure.
That is plenty for me because I'm really focused on the more corporate and commercial
Hmm.
clients anyways. But, no, it's just interesting, and I always think of too, like, think of your area and think of what the little fires that are burning, the things that are, like, really big in the area. So, like, I guess I'll use this example for me. Here on the coast, we have Ingalls Shipbuilding.
Hmm.
They have 50,000 employees, and that's a lot of people around here work for the shipbuilding company. We have
Mm.
casinos. So there's a lot of employees and a lot of entertainment coming through town because of the casinos. What in your area is like that? Something that
Uh,
everybody is associated or a part of,
Caterpillar, John
like
Deere.
the tractor companies?
Yeah, Caterpillar's headquarters is in Peoria, so a lot of people all over the area work for them. You know, stuff like what's common around your area, lawyers, obviously, uh, railroad, BNSF's real big here. Farming, that's the biggest thing probably. So yeah.
Your twin is reaping havoc over there. I love it.
Intentionally.
Dude, mine came in the living room and they're asleep now. They went back to sleep.
Oh,
Luck
must be nice,
Lucky
man.
me, huh? Lucky me. School's about to start back, so we'll be in full podcast swing here in a
Yeah,
little bit. But summer's
yeah.
always like that, man. Summer just I either
You
get
know,
so busy with family or busy with random projects that I don't have time for. I haven't made a YouTube video, bro, in like a week.
I get burnt out in the summertime.
Yeah.
That's always when I suffer for burnout. This time right now, I've just kind of been just trying to find inspiration the last few weeks and not really doing as much. For me, it's been more just watching movies and listening to music and just doing being more of a consumer than a creator for a minute.
Yeah, I think I'm leaving for Orlando Friday. Oh yeah,
Mhm.
guys, we're gonna try to do a live podcast on Friday. So if you guys want to tune in, probably around 6:30 Central Time. I'm not. This is not a guarantee though. So if you don't see it pop up, there's a reason for it. We might record it there, but I do want to try to go live. And if Troy can pop in, he's going to. I'm
Mhm.
basically going to be at a networking event in Pensacola, Florida, where there's a lot of videographers and photographers and rappers. A lot of rappers, actually, man. I really think you
Cool.
should be a part of that. But anyways, yeah, we'll be in full swing after this month because I'm going to Orlando for a little while, and I'm going to do what you said. I'm going to be a consumer. Like a lot
Mhm.
of times on vacation, I'm still creating things. Like I'm videoing the vacation or
Oh
I'm
yeah.
working. But
Oh, yeah.
there's this new Guy Ritchie movie I want to watch. There's some beer I want to drink, and I'm
Guy
gonna.
Ritchie movie. What's that called? What's that?
Yeah, it's brand new. My brother just watched it, and he was like, "You gotta watch this Guy Ritchie movie," because we're both big Guy Ritchie fans. I forget the name of it. It has one of those Inglorious Bastard type names.
Okay, I'll look for it. That's funny because I think we watched the Guy Ritchie movie the last time we were together. Remember that in the hotel? What was the name of that one? I
Snatch.
had never. I had no. It wasn't Snatch. I had never seen it before. It was like one of his earlier movies. It might have been his first movie. It had a weird ass name.
Was it
You
Sexy
fell.
Beast?
That was it, bro. Sexy Beast. Yes.
Yeah.
You remember that? You
Well,
passed out.
it did. I got to figure
That
out what his
movie freaked me out, bro. I was like, I could not go to. It's one of the movies where you just can't quit watching it. You're like, what's? It was very interesting for an older movie. Very good.
Yeah, I turned my brother onto that movie too the other day. I was like, "Hey, you got to watch Sexy Beast." So I'll have to see if he did because he's a big movie guy. He's one of those
That's
guys. He
what's
goes
up.
to work and he comes home watching movies. But
Yeah, I was actually thinking about that movie. Us watching that the other day, but I couldn't remember the name of it. So that's funny you brought Guy Ritchie up today. Isn't that weird how things work?
dude, what's crazy about that? If you were thinking about it, say 2 days ago,
Mhm.
that's cosmic, or there's something going on in the universe. Because me and my brother were trying to think of the name of it too, and I ended up using the voice thing of Chat GPT.
Wow.
I said, "Hey, I'm trying to
Wow.
think of this Guy Ritchie movie that this guy is a gangster, lives in this house on a hill, and a boulder falls in a pool, and there's a pool boy, and da da da." And I was just naming off this weird stuff, and my brother was
Uh,
like, "It's not going to be able to tell," and it said, and in its voice too, it said, "The movie you are likely thinking of is Sexy Beast,
isn't
uh,
that crazy?
recorded or produced in 1993 or whatever." And he was just like, "Whoa, dude, AI is crazy."
It is.
But we got a bunch of podcasts on that, guys. Go check out the AI podcast. But cool, man. We're at 36 minutes. I think we covered a lot here, and this is something we're going to talk about all the time, ongoingly. So, we hope that
Yeah,
you had some value. Up there's one.
I would
What's up,
say, I guess the
man?
lesson today is to just make sure that you're always, giving value, getting value, and setting your stay on your prices, uh, but also using no as a way to negotiate, different prices and to tailor the job maybe more to what you and the client can both agree to. So, yeah, always wiggle room.
All right, man. Well, we are going to sign off. If you guys have any questions, throw them in the comments and we'll do our best to answer them. I will see you later, Troy.
All right, peace,
Good
everybody.
day. Peace.
Thanks for listening.